These are 3 true stories from people who realized, far too late, that someone had been watching them. If you have a story of your own, the email's in the description. Subscribe if you're new, and let's jump into story 1. This happened to me during my second year of university in Manchester. I was living in a ground floor flat about 20-minute walk from the main campus. I didn't have a car, so I walked everywhere. Library, shops, lectures, same routes, same times, every day. It started on a Thursday in November. I was leaving the library around 9:30 at night. The campus was mostly empty. I pushed through the doors and I started cutting through the car park towards the main road. And I noticed a man standing near the bike racks. He wasn't locking up a bike. He wasn't on his phone. He was just standing there, facing my direction. I didn't think much of it. People wait around the campus all the time. I walked about 10 minutes to the bus stop on Oxford Road. I wasn't getting the bus that night. I just cut through that way to get to the side street. And the man was there. Same jacket, same build, standing at the other end of the bus shelter, not looking at his phone, not looking at the timetable, just standing. I told myself it was a coincidence. Manchester's a big city, but the student areas are tight. People overlap. I kept walking. I got to my street about 5 minutes later. I was maybe 30 meters from my front door when I glanced back, and he was there, at the end of my street, not walking, not approaching, just standing under the streetlight, hands in his pocket, looking straight at me. I got inside, locked the door, and I pulled the curtains. I stood in my dark living room looking through the gap in the blinds. He stayed there for about 4 minutes, then he turned and walked away. I didn't sleep that night. I told myself I was overreacting. The next evening, I changed my entire route home. I left from a different building, walked through the Arndale, and I took a completely different set of streets. I got home, locked up, and I checked the window. Nobody was there. Then about 11:30, I heard something, a light tapping on the living room window. Not knocking, tapping, like someone running a fingernail down the glass. I froze. I was sat on my sofa maybe 2 feet from the window. I could hear breathing on the other side of the pane. Slow, steady breathing. I didn't move. I didn't even reach for my phone. I just sat there, completely still, for what felt like 10 minutes. Then the tapping stopped. I grabbed my phone and I called my mate who lives 3 streets over. He came round and we checked outside. There was nothing, no one. But on the window still, on the outside, there was a piece of paper folded in half. I opened it. It was a hand-drawn map. My flat was circled, the library was circled, the bus stop was circled. The route between all 3 were drawn in pen with small arrows showing the direction I walked. At the bottom, in block capitals, it said, "You should vary your routine." I called the police. They took the note and said they'll look into it. They checked the CCTV from the campus car park. The cameras weren't working that week. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. I started to relax. I was walking home with a friend one night when she suddenly stopped and said, "Who is that?" I looked to where she was pointing. Across the road, behind a parked van, there was a figure. Same build, same jacket. He was holding his phone up, screen facing us, like he was filming. We ran. I moved out the next week. The police never identified him. I've never gone back to that flat. And every time I walk home at night, in any city, I still check behind me at least every time. I'm a 28-year-old bloke living in Leeds. I've been going to the same gym for about 3 years. Nothing fancy, one of those 24-hour places in a retail park. I usually go around 7 p.m. after work. About 6 months ago, I started noticing this other guy. He was probably mid-30s, average height, always wore the same grey hoodie. He would arrive a few minutes after me, use the machines near mine, and leave a few minutes after I did. I figured we were just on the same schedule. Then I switched things up. One Monday, I went at 5 in the morning. I'd never gone that early before. I scanned in, walked to the free weights area, and started warming up. About 8 minutes later, the front door buzzed and in walked grey hoodie guy. He nodded at me like it was normal and went to the treadmill. That bothered me, so I tested it again. Wednesday at 11 p.m, I drove there, parked, went in. 9 minutes later, he walked through the door. Same nod, same hoodie. Saturday at 2 p.m, a time I've never once gone. 7 minutes after I scanned in, the door buzzed. There he was. My stomach dropped. There was no way this was coincidence. He was watching my flat and following me. The next day I told the staff. They pulled up the CCTV from the car park. On every single occasion, his car pulled into the retail park within 2 to 3 minutes of mine. But here's what makes my skin crawl. On the early morning footage, you can see his car was already parked on the road outside the retail park before I even arrived. He'd been waiting. He'd followed me from my house, got there first, parked up, and waited for me to go in before he followed. They went back even further. 6 weeks of footage. He'd been doing this for 6 weeks. Sometimes he drove, twice he was on a bicycle, and once, and this is the one that still keeps me up at night, he was on foot, which means he walked from wherever he lived, or wherever he'd been watching me from, all the way to the gym, just to be in the same room as me. I confronted him in the car park. I walked right up to him and said, "Why are you following me?" He didn't flinch. He didn't look scared. He just smiled, this calm, patient smile, and said, "I just like your routine." I called the police from the car park. They spoke to him. He gave a fake name and address. They issued a warning and told me to apply for a restraining order, which I did. It was granted. For about 2 months, nothing happened. I changed gyms. I changed my commute. I started checking my mirrors constantly. Then one morning, I opened my front door to go to work and there was a small brown envelope on the mat. Inside was a plastic membership card for a gym I've never heard of, in a part of Leeds I've never been to. The card had my full name on it, my date of birth, and a start date of that same day. I moved out that flat within the week. I never found out who he was. The police never matched the DNA from the envelope. As far as I know, he's still out there, and he still knows my routine better than I do. I'm a woman in my early 30s, and at the time this happened I was living alone in a 1-bedroom flat in Bristol. I work from home, so I spend a lot of time online, social media, group chats, that sort of thing. I'm not careless about my privacy. My accounts are private. I don't post my location. I use a nickname in most of my group chats. It all started with a parcel. I came home one afternoon and there was an Amazon box on my doorstep. I didn't think anything of it. I order things all the time. When I opened it, it was a phone case, the or my exact phone model, in a colour I mentioned liking in a private group chat with 4 friends. I hadn't ordered it. There was no gift note. The order confirmation wasn't in my email. I asked my friend if any of them had sent it. None of them had. A week later, another parcel. This time it was a book, a Pacific novel I said I wanted to read in the same group chat. Again, no sender name, no gift note. The delivery label had my address, obviously, but the name on it wasn't mine. It was my nickname, the one only my close friends use, the one I've never put on any public account. I started to feel sick. Someone was either in that group chat or had access to my messages. I changed all my passwords. I enabled 2-factor on everything. I left the group chat and I made a new one. I even checked my phone for spyware. Nothing came up. I reported it to the police. They said without a threat, there wasn't much they could do. The parcels stopped. Weeks went by. I started to feel normal again. Then I got a new job offer in Edinburgh. I took it. I packed up my entire life, drove 6 hours north, and moved into a new flat in a part of the city I'd never been to before. I hadn't posted about the move. I hadn't told anyone outside my immediate family and 2 close friends. I deliberately didn't update my address anywhere online. On my first night in my new flat, I was carrying boxes in from the car. I sat one down in the hallway and noticed something on the doormat. A small padded envelope. I picked it up. My hands were already shaking. Inside was a card, white, plain, handwritten. It said, "Welcome home." Below that was my new address, written out in full, including the postcode. No sender name, no return address. I called the police. They took the envelope. No fingerprints, no DNA, no CCTV in that part of my street. I've moved again since then. I check my doorstep every morning before I open the door. I've changed my phone, my email, my name on every account I own. The parcels haven't come back. But every now and then, maybe once every few months, I'll open my laptop and find a new Wi-Fi network in range. It's always just a string of numbers, and every time, if I count the digits, they match my new phone number.